Hi everyone, welcome to the Wdym podcast, and today's guest is Dhravya Shah. He is 18 years old and a builder. He has been building apps since he was 16, and whatever the smallest of the problems he used to find, he used to just dive right in and find the solution and build something, crazy for the world to see. So I have him as a guest on the very first podcast, and this man needs little very nice introduction. And would you like to start by introducing yourself, Dhravya?
Um, I would not call I would not call my product startups. But yeah, I'm a product builder at heart. I try to get everyone do that. I'm also very much into core engineering. I've made databases, social media apps, image hosting websites, Discord bots, Twitter bots, basically everything you can think of, from the extremely shady stuff to the extremely cool stuff. And right now I'm working on my startup that is supermemory.ai, which is I'm very excited about. Over the last 2 or 3 years, I've shipped more than 70 products. Many of them failed. Two or three of them actually did very well, and I was able to sell two of them and move to the US for further studies. So yeah, that's basically my introduction.
Okay, so I would like to know, how did it all started? Who was Dhravya back then? How did Dhravya become a coder?
Um, So my situation was like very, very weird. I've always been like a gamer, and the gamer to coder pipeline is usually like a very common one. So I was given an iPad when I was very, very young, and because of that iPad, I had exposure to technology. Even though I would just play games on that iPad, one day, like, and I also have like a computer, like a very, very old one. You know, the desktop that a lot of people have at their houses. And on that desktop, I also downloaded GTA Vice City and used to play that all day. I literally just used to waste all my day and night on games. And then COVID hit. So before COVID hit, I was actually studying at least a little bit, and I had like a social life, and I felt fulfilled. I did not even touch coding at all. But during COVID, I was just gaming all day. I was just playing PUBG and other games. And one fine day, I realized that okay, I should probably do something else. And I had a laptop already, the older one, and I started like trying to make my own games on it because I used to watch a lot of YouTube, and there was this one guy on YouTube called Danny Game Dev, and I was really inspired by his stuff, and I started like building my own. But I was absolutely clueless about what to do. I did not know what I was doing. I did not even know what language I was writing my code in. Um, it was just, and the games I made were mediocre at best. I made like three games and none of them were even close to Vice City that I wanted to make. Um, then I made my parents buy me a new laptop, even though I did not need one. I convinced them for my personal laptop, and they did give me a personal laptop. And that's when my journey really started, because then I just watched a tutorial off of YouTube to learn Python, and made community, uh started documenting my journey on my blogs, Twitter, with which I got like a lot of friends, and those friends like helped me through my journey of learning more stuff.
Okay, so you started at 16, right? When you were 16?
Yeah, I was like 15, 16 when I just started to
Right.
code.
Pretty impressive. So kudos to you. Okay, so what are you studying right now? Where are you?
I am studying CS, and I'll probably double major in math or electrical or something at ASU, Arizona State University. Right now I'm at UT Austin, University of Texas Austin. So I'm interning at Cloudflare right now. Yeah. So yeah, Cloudflare is the one company that I absolutely love, because all of my products from the start have used Cloudflare in some way. So it's just a full circle moment for me to end up here and work here.
Okay, so Cloudflare is that company that's building a better internet, right? Would you like to elaborate?
So Cloudflare basically has a lot of, verticals. So one is a security vertical. Like, if you have a website, you can just put it in front of Cloudflare and you can save yourself from all kinds of security issues like just denial of service attacks and URL swap attacks, stuff like that. Then there's a development vertical. Like, you can host your stuff on Cloudflare. They have databases, key value stores, persistent serverless database. That is very cool stuff. It's like the peak engineering. It's the cheapest option from everywhere. That and it's free for users. So the 16-year-old me really benefited from it being free, right? Because all other services were super expensive. So that's how I got into it.
Nice. So, did you apply it online or the company came to your campus?
The internship, like that's a crazy story. So what happened was the senior vice president of emerging tech and incubation at Cloudflare, that is Dane. He had put out a tweet saying, "I am looking for people to join our teams." It was not about the interns, nothing like that. And I had already actually booked my tickets back to India because I have not been to India since like a year now, and I really want to go back for some time to meet my friends and family. And all of a sudden, I just felt like messaging Dane saying hi. I liked this tweet, and like right, like 2 minutes later, he replied back, and he was like, "Dude, I've been seeing your stuff. Do you want to join Cloudflare?" I was like, "Holy shit!" Like, just documenting our life on Twitter paid off. And so yeah, because he's in such a big position, right? He's less senior vice president. My interview process and everything was super fast. I literally got my offer letter by the like next week. So yeah, I canceled my flights and I'm staying here. I moved to Austin.
Great, great. So, how did this building thing started? Where did it all begin?
So right after I learned Python, like my first Python tutorial that I ever saw, I did it in like one straight marathon. Like I sat in front of a computer for like 16 hours straight and completed everything. And in the morning, so I worked throughout like the evening and the night, basically. And in the morning, my mom was like, have tea, have some breakfast, and then sleep. So while having breakfast, my mom was just telling me about like her what she does as a profession is very programmatic. It's like it can be automated basically. So I wrote a very simple script in Python to make it easy for her to do those calculations just by inputting the values. It was a simple Python project, but because I could see the direct effect on it, that was when I started loving making content. So throughout the next 4 or so months, I would make one random thing, just for myself, like a file organizer and stuff like that, just making my own life easy. And one fine day, someone on Discord, like I had a lot of friends on Discord, online friends, and someone was like, "Hey, have you heard of Discord bots?" So I explored making them because I was in a lot of dev communities and tech communities. So I made my first Discord bot, and it slowly blew up. It like right now it's offline, but um, it has more than 300,000, 400,000 users for sure. It was more than 2,000 servers. So it's safe to assume that it had a lot of users. I shut it down because it was kind of hard for me to maintain it and keep it online. But that's when like my first product journey, like the first company I sold, story starts. um
And for people who don't know, he's a 2x acquired founder. So, would you like to elaborate on that too? How did your startups got acquired?
my first startup was simply solving my own. Both of my startups were simply for solving my own problems, but the first one was the one I did not make. Like, I was working with someone else, and he was like, "Would you join me as a co-founder?" It was called Epic Host. And I found out about it because the Discord bot I was just talking about, I wanted to host it somewhere, and I wanted it to be, cheap enough for me to host or free. And luckily, this guy was providing Discord bot hosting for free on Epic Host. I was like, hell yeah. So I became the biggest user and the biggest customer. And the founder of that company was also very young. He was like 14 years old at the time. So I ended up, I would just give him random advices because I would see what stuff he's going through. I would give him a lot of advices on how to grow it. And then he was like, you're being very helpful to me. Just join me as a co-founder. And I joined him. And then we grew like crazy. Like for a hosting company, having even 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 users is a big deal because so we had distributed servers as well. So there was one server in US, one in India, one in Australia, one in Europe. We had 4 people managing these servers. It was just crazy. Like it went from a teenager building a Discord bot to like a globally distributed hosting company. And yeah, we even raised small investments from other customers that we had, and then we sold it. So yeah, it was a great experience.
And how did you found a team?
So most of my teams are the people I've found online. And there's a very good reason for it. The reason being, in your, there, not everyone is in the best position to find really good people around them in their local communities. And online communities, you can search and scout for exactly what you need. You can have your friends join you as teammates. And I've had like great teams. So actually, for Epic Host team, the team turned against us, and there was a huge problem there. So that can also happen. So you really need to make sure that you trust people. But it worked out in the end. So yeah.
So your first startup was LMFO Tech, right? Would you like to elaborate?
So LMFAO.tech was something we made for the Twitter Chirp Developer Hackathon initially. So it was like a hackathon project that turned out to be really big, and it was actually one of the first web apps I ever made. Um, so as a 16, 17-year old, I found this other guy. His name is Yash. He is 15 right now, but at the time he was like 13 years old. And that guy, um, like both were thinking about what to do, and LMFO.tech was a great idea because we could make both of us love memes, and we could make a social media for memes where we can like select sources that okay, give me the best memes from Twitter, Reddit, LinkedIn, show it to me in one feed, while me being able to create and post to these 3 platforms simultaneously. So there was an entire meme maker, a ton of templates, everything. It was an amazing project, and it was open source as well. So that was my first open source big project. Um, I spoke about it. I even like made a launch video, launched on Product Hunt. We made an app. It's on Google Play Store. Yeah, it did pretty well, but we also shut that down because we had users, but it was not something that we had good retention on. Because it turns out it's hard to keep people coming when they're already used to other social media platforms, and that's why I'm not making one more social media anymore because it's a really bad idea in general. Also, we were really dependent on all these other platforms because we were posting, and it was basically an outsourcing for the content. And Twitter monetized their API, and they were like, I'm not gonna, you cannot just keep pulling tweets basically without paying. And price the price was like crazy. So yeah, we just stopped that project, but it is open source right now, so it's pretty cool. You should check it out.
So you kind of have great contribution in the open source side. So would you like to talk about Radish?
Radish, it's a cool story as well. I'm working on another startup with another person, so that's not also an actual startup. Um, And so she was doing, user interviews, and I was getting really bored. Like on a weekend, we had like a normal university weekend. We were sitting in the study room. She was on call with the users, and I was just sitting scrolling Twitter, and I just decided, why not? So I saw this tweet where so Redis changed its license from being open source to basically being source available. Like they made two licenses. One of them is source available. One of them is, if you're a corporate, you cannot host Redis, basically. So I was like, sure, I'll make my own because I need a way to use Redis with it being reliable enough that I can depend on it as a service. Because all this trauma from depending on other platforms like Twitter, Discord, that shut my other products down, has made me like kind of paranoid. So I just built everything on my own. I built my own Redis in Go, and I made it 3 times faster than the original Redis, and that's also open source. It has like a cute mascot and everything. You guys should check it out. It also got like a lot of attention on Twitter. People that were writing articles about it. But I'll be very honest, it's a very simple project. It's like any normal person who knows how to write in Go can make something like that. I'm sure about that.
But not denying the fact you made it in 2 days.
I just made it in the weekend. So while she was talking, I just, I just sat all night basically, completed the first version. Then I woke up again and completed it and shipped it. So yeah, I made it like in a night and 2 days basically.
So you kind of have built things you found even the smallest of the problems in, and you just tried to solve them, right?
Yeah, I basically make products for the smallest of problems I have, and I open source them, which is pretty cool.
Like naughty, you were finding problem with writing notes and you made an alternative to it.
So for Naughty, it was also a similar story. So we were playing pool together, me and my friends, and one of the friends was, dude, where do I write the notes while being in a lecture? Because I don't want to write it in Notion because it takes too much time to load, and I just want a place to write text content and have it sync between my apps. I was like, sure, I make it. So I had my laptop while playing pool. I sat down. I started making it. I think I completed that project in like half a week. Um, it's a very bad trait, but also it's a good trait to never settle and keep building stuff. And actually, right after this, I'm gonna stream on YouTube and build something pretty cool.
You are not stopping, that means.
So, your
Startup at the moment is Super Memory AI. Would you like to tell the audience about it?
Yes, it's a pretty cool one. So, I have been on the internet for quite a while now, like a while now, at least 5, 7 years. And every single day, I see something pretty cool and I save it. And I have tons and tons of saved content all over the internet on different platforms, be it Pinterest, Twitter, Reddit, LinkedIn, just my Chrome bookmarks, some saving apps, Notion. But when I actually need the saved content, I cannot use it or cannot find it. Because I remember I read this one tweet about a gazelle and a lion. And it was, I remember that it was called Don't Be a Gazelle, Be a Lion, something like that. But I don't remember enough information about it to be able to search it. Um, Second problem I had was so I was in this class called GCSP, basically an engineering class, and we had to write, we had to read a bunch of research papers and stuff like that, and we have to write a paper based on our learnings in those. And I was using Naughty to write it, and I realized I wish Naughty already knew what research paper I just read so that I don't have to tell it again and again, or don't have to go to ChatGPT, prompt it, and then keep going back and forth. So that's why I'm making Super Memory. It's an app that gives you super memory for everything that you have saved or you want to save, every thought you have, everything that you come across on the internet. And Yeah, so we already launched the first version and we got some insane traction. We had 10,000 people visiting, 4,000 people actively using Super Memory. So much traction that we realized that Super Memory is not good enough for so much visibility. So we took it down and we are making a version 2 that will release hopefully July 1st. So yeah, that's the plan.
So you recently updated the UX of the website, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I really
they're
love that.
completely revamping the backend, front end, UI, UX, how it works, everything, absolutely everything.
Great.
Everybody needs to check that out if you're finding problem with the systematically using your notes and everything. It's the best place to be. So coming on to next, you are a very active hackathon participant also, right? Hack Princeton and all.
Yeah. So basically, there was this time in October last year where I was going to different hackathons every single weekend. I would fly to California, New York, Princeton, and basically wherever there was a hackathon, I would go there, I would win, and I would come back. And the winning would cover my costs, hopefully. I would literally bet on myself and I would go, and if I don't win, it's like a $500 loss, basically. So yeah, that worked out because I won first the biggest hackathon in the world, that is Cal Hacks. I won second Hack Princeton, which has like some crazy sponsors and stuff. And I also won ASU Hackathon, which was the biggest in Arizona. So pretty cool.
Coming on that, what about your background? What did you had in your 11th and 12th, and how did your decisions change to moving to USA and continuing your studies over there?
So I'm from a very middle class school, a school that had a school that was reputable enough, but it was bad enough that it had like a nala besides it. Nala means a drainage besides it.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of school I went to. While it was not the best, it was good enough for me to be exposed to opportunities. And some of those opportunities were help me with my speaking skills, stuff like that. Um, so that's middle school basically. And in high school, 11th and 12th, I I did not go anywhere. I was actually doing JEE. So in India, there's this system of you having dummy colleges. So I was in one of those dummy colleges. I went to classes that were online at the time because COVID had just started. And yeah, it was just a whole mess. Like I would not study at all. I mean, I was interested enough in math and science to be able to take the concepts in, but I would not study. Like I was not, I did not want to go in this rat race and try to be the first when my interests were actually somewhere else. So I started coding and I basically gave up on JEE. Um, yeah, and then I moved to US. It was not even planned. It was all like end moment and it all worked out.
Still deciding unconventionally, not everybody has that much courage, right? So it does work well for some people, and it worked out really well for you.
Yeah, it was a huge bet for me too. Honestly, I was pretty scared of what will happen. Um, and it is quite costly to come to the US. And thankfully, I'm able to, sell those products off, pay for some of my education, have internships. I'm able to pay most of my studies, but that was also one of my concerns. Like it would get expensive. Yeah,
Unfortunately, you cannot expect yourself to pay whole of your fees. That too in US.
I'm able to. For the most part, I'm paying everything, so that's cool.
That's great. Also, so how did content journey started? How did
Yeah.
Content with relevance to you.
So content basically, whenever I would tell people, so I used to go for practical classes and stuff at my dummy college, and whenever I would tell people that I'm coding or I'm building products or I'm doing this right now, the common reaction I would get is, how do you even do it? How do you get started and stuff? And all the content creators, they're too hyper focused on jobs and how to make your resume better and stuff like that. And I completely hate that, because I believe that the job market is really, is in a really bad condition right now, because everyone is hyper optimizing for jobs and not actually building and not actually getting skills. So me and my friend Om Shah, we were just talking about this while on a walk in a park, and we were like, um, frick it, we'll just fix it ourselves. And we took out our phone on the spot, sat on the footpath, we made the new account, we shot the video, we posted it on the spot. That did like 3,000 views. But of my friends and my family all followed us, so we had like 200 followers. Then I remember, so next week we had 1,000. Then week by week we were growing like 1,000 followers every day. But then I had to move to the US, and so like y- Om was like, okay, we should probably do something about that. So I changed the name from the dev guys to Dhravya.dev. Yeah, um, it was pretty cool, because I, I still I still hope that I can make videos with Om, because they perform very well. But at the same time, it is nice to be able to just out of nowhere take your phone, record something, and post something. And actually on the journey, I also got an editor now, so my editor edits all my videos and stuff. It's pretty cool.
I see, for you it was always that one fine day when things worked out. For me, I would say it was always a process.
Really, everything in life, every big phase in your life can be pointed out to that one moment where you realize that you have to do
Wow.
this.
Great.
And
Great
you have to
to
get stuff done. The biggest trait that I have is honestly just get on it and get something done, even if it's the smallest version of it. If I would be too uh anxious about how the first video will perform, if I would be too anxious about how my first product will be taken by my mom, even though both of them was really simple and really small, I would never do anything, because I would always be thinking like, is this good enough? But I'm just like, just ship it. No one's gonna see it, or a lot of people are gonna see it, and they would appreciate me shipping it instead of not shipping it. And I can always make something better later on, which is what I'm doing with Super Memory. I just shipped it, I realized it's not good. Now I'm making it better. So yeah.
It is indeed a never ending conversation to keep talking about you. But in general, as we all are interested in, what's your reaction to the AI revolution that's happening?
My reaction to the AI revolution. So I and my entire team actually use AI heavily in our development process.
that is
But that does not mean AI could think for us and make super memory by itself. If you're making products, then AI is probably, not going to replace you, because making products is much more complex than just writing pieces of code, at least in its current phase. But if we're just finding bugs and fixing them, going through GitHub issues, stuff like that, or just doing Jira tickets at your workplace, that might not be a skill that is not replaceable by AI, because already there's GitHub Copilot Workspace that can just look at GitHub issues and it can literally suggest fixes right away. Um, so yeah, and heavily leverage it in whatever you're building, but make sure that you are actually building and you are not just hot fixing stuff. That's what I have for the developers out there.
People are scared that AI might replace them.
No
great.
need to be scared. That's just
Yeah,
a need.
He needs to be scared until unless they realize what AI is meant for. It is not meant to take away your jobs, it's meant to make you efficient at your job. So, lastly, I would like to ask you about your future vision.
My future vision is ideally, I just want to do my own thing. I just want to keep building stuff and keep inspiring people. So inspiring is a really big motto for me and my career, because I don't really post content to get followers. I don't earn anything through my content. In fact, I'm losing about 50 to 100 to $300 every month just by making content. Um, but because I know that there's real impact, people message me. Like there was a 43-year-old who messaged me that because of you, I've started coding and I'm turning my life around. And that's what matters to me. And that's why we are also working on a club at our university where we show people how to build stuff. Um, so I'm really passionate about that. So that's the second thing I want to do. Third thing I don't want to do is a job. So, because I cannot settle, I can never settle. So I'm just gonna keep building. That's the plan. Because I had my golden era last year and this year. So I just want to continue this golden era till life.
That's great to hear. Even I got inspired by one of your tweets day before yesterday. It was tell me what are you building, I'll be your biggest supporter. I don't know why, it just made me really very happy. And that was actually how I got to know about you. So it is really inspiring. I hope everybody who listened was able to learn as much as I was able to learn from you. And biggest takeaway is, even if you find the smallest of the problem, do not think that it is small and it will make no impact in solving that. Even solving the smallest of the problem can make biggest of the impact. So I hope you enjoyed the conversation. See you next time, probably building something else.
Nice talking to you too.
Yeah.
So much for coming, and thank you to the audience for listening. I hope you were able to find something fruitful for yourself out of the conversation. To keep learning in the future, keep tuning in the What Do You Mean podcast. See you next time.